Hello, my dear audience. I love movies and I love John Lautner. So in this episode, I'm gonna make a compilation of all his houses that have been featured in movies. Each time we take one house and then the one or multiple movies or TV shows that have used this specific house as a film location. We begin with the Elrod house, because my love for John Lautner started with a James Bond movie. When I was only 12 years old, I saw Diamonds Are Forever broadcasted on Dutch television, and in that movie was one sequence that immediately attracted my attention. It was not Sean Connery or the beautiful women, but it was the architecture in the background. At that time, I had never heard of the name John Lautner, nor did I see any of his other houses. And for many years, I thought it was only a movie set. More than 15 years later, I read a book about John Lautner, and it was then that I heard of his name for the first time. In that book, I saw a picture of the Elrod house, and only then I realized that the house from the James Bond movie was an actual home. From that moment on, I was so fascinated that I started to research all his other houses. It may be possible that without this scene, I would never have learned about John Lautner and never started this YouTube channel. What I like so much about this sequence is that most of the action was improvised on set, so the architecture inspired the movie makers, and the many interesting features of the house were integrated into the storyline, making it a great interaction between architecture and cinema. At the moment, the Elrod house is the only John Lautner design that was used in a James Bond movie, which is a shame, because I think a lot of John Lautner houses would be perfectly suitable for a James Bond adventure. Now we go to the Chemisphere, which was used several times for media productions. The first time in 1964 in an episode of the science fiction series The Outer Limits. A more famous appearance of the Chemisphere is in the 1984 movie Body Double. In this Hitchcock-inspired thriller, the main character lives in the Chemisphere and is spying on his female neighbor across the street. Then he becomes a witness to her murder. This makes the Chemisphere an important part of the movie, with many scenes taking place in it. For the movie, the Chemisphere was only used in exterior shots, while the interior was recreated on a soundstage, and it differed in many ways from the real interior. Entirely reconstructed in a studio was the Chemisphere lookalike in the first Charlie's Angels movie. This house was substantially larger than the actual Chemisphere, but in many ways it was similar to John Lautner's design. A more funny interpretation of the Chemisphere can be seen in an episode of The Simpsons, where Troy McClure lives in an animated version of the house. And last but not least, those who play video games recognize the Chemisphere from the video game Grand Theft Auto 3 San Andreas. In this game, you can actually buy the Chemisphere with money earned through criminal activities. Criminal activities also took place in the Jacobson house, which was featured in the movie Twilight. No, not that movie, but the little-known 1998 crime thriller with the same title, starring Paul Newman, Susan Sarandon and Gene Hackman. In Twilight, the Jacobson house is owned by a police officer, while two other police officers visit the Garcia house in Lethal Weapon 2. Unfortunately for them, the house is owned by a South African crime boss, and a massive shootout takes place. In the end, it's Mel Gibson who pulls the house down by removing one of the stilts with a tow truck. This destruction scene was filmed with a life-size wooden replica that was pulled off the hill and then blown up with pyrotechnics. The explosion might be done with a replica, but all the other scenes were filmed on a location, in the actual home. Also entirely shot on location is the movie Happy Endings. This romantic comedy had a few scenes that were filmed in the Schaefer house. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say anything about it, but there's another film which was shot in the same house and which is one of my personal favorites, A Single Man. This brilliant psychological drama is about a lonely man who is depressed about the loss of his lover and then becomes isolated in his home. Almost the entire movie was shot in the Schaefer house, showing many details of the design. I think this is the best example how John Lautner's architecture can be used as a dramatic element that improves the storytelling. The complex interior visualizes the emotional condition of the main character, and the image of the protagonist sitting behind the window with many wooden bars symbolizes loneliness and grief. A twist with reality is in the movie The Gray Man, in which the Harvey house has been relocated to Hong Kong and renamed as the Fitzroy House. The filmmakers shot a few scenes in the house that is actually located in Hollywood, with the Hong Kong skyline digitally edited in the background, creating the illusion that the house was in Hong Kong. The Harvey residence was used a second time in a Gucci commercial starring Iggy Pop, Tyler the Creator and A$AP Rocky. This commercial shows the many different parts of the house and gives a complete overview. The most creative liberties were taken by the set designer of the movie Iron Man 3. In this superhero movie, Tony Stark has a living room that clearly resembles the Bayer house, but when we look outside, we see that the house is many times larger and more outrageous than the actual Bayer house. In the movie, the Iron Man house is located on Point Doom, a rock point in Malibu, not far from the actual Bayer residence. In true Hollywood fashion, the house is destroyed in one big explosion, but thankfully it was only a CGI creation. A more realistic appearance has the Silvertop house in the 1987 movie Less Than Zero. The film features many scenes in which the protagonist walks through the house, showing all the parts of the design and giving a good indication of the size and dimensions. The story is about drug abuse amongst the rich kids in Beverly Hills, and the Silvertop is shown just like it is in reality, a true luxurious mansion. The house was filmed with a typical 1980s music video vibe, complete with neon-style lighting and pastel colors. Also interesting is the way in which the house is depicted on a movie's poster. A real-life soap was filmed in the Schwimmer residence. In the series House of Carters, the daily life of Backstreet Boys singer Aaron Carter was filmed. Carter only rented the Schwimmer house for a short period during the recording of an album, and the real-life soap was short-lived. I watched a few episodes and I was genuinely surprised how much of the house can be seen. When you watch the entire show, you get a complete overview of John Lautner's design. For me personally, a real-life soap about a Backstreet Boy is not that interesting, but it's always nice to see people having fun and messing around in a John Lautner home. Then there is the Bob Hope house. This design never featured in any movie, but there was a live TV show broadcasted from Bob Hope's home during his Yellow Ribbon Party, a gathering where Bob Hope invited many US veterans. So that counts as another John Lautner TV appearance. Well, we saved the best for last. The house that was used the most as a film location is of course the Sheets Goldstein residence. The most famous movie being The Big Lebowski. In this really funny comedy, the house is owned by porno producer Jackie Treehorn. I love how the futuristic interior helps the filmmakers in building up the suspense in this scene, showing the quality of John Lautner's work in a perfect way. I always get a smile on my face when I see the sloppy looking dude sitting on a beautiful, stylish couch. But The Big Lebowski is by far not the only production filmed in the house. While the first Charlie's Angels movie features the chemosphere, Sheets Goldstein makes an appearance in the second part. In contrast to the first movie, the second one was shot on a real location. In Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, John Cleese seems to be living in the Sheets Goldstein house. Another movie is the crime comedy Bandits, but I haven't seen this film yet. Also important to mention is the number of music videos shot in a house, including Say So by Doja Cat. We've got Love by Babyface, and It's All About You by Tracy Spencer. But the most complete video is Let's Get Blown by Snoop Dogg and Pharrell Williams. This video captures almost every part of the house, including the entrance of the pond, the living room, the terrace, the staircase, even the bedroom, and of course, the swimming pool. It's no secret that there were also some porno movies filmed in the Sheets Goldstein, but I haven't seen any of them, and that is true. Please believe me. We end this compilation with something very different. The song Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa. In this pop song, she sings about John Lautner.
The game, like modern architecture. John Lautner coming your way. I know you like this beat.
This makes John Lautner one of the very few architects who had the privilege of being mentioned in a pop song. Dua Lipa made this reference because she is a great fan of John Lautner, and she even lived in the Tyler house during her relationship with Anwar Hadid. John Lautner remains popular amongst movie makers and pop artists because all his houses are visually striking and they are perfect for a background in dramatic movie scenes. I like to speculate about which house can be used in which movie. For instance, I dream of the Arango house in a James Bond film. Or the Wolf House, starring in a romantic adventure movie like Hitchcock's North by Northwest. I think that many of his houses will be used in future movies. So the list with film locations will continue to grow. But for now, I hope that I covered everything. It might be possible that I've missed some houses or that I forgot to mention some movies that I'm unfamiliar with. If that's the case, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.